Hey guys, welcome to Horology Biology. Now in this video I have received the cheapest AliExpress Micro Rotor Automatic watch. I'm kind of excited to fully strip this down like I do with these AliExpress videos. Now this is the Borman with the Chinese in-house movement caliber 5000A. And you can see on the screen right now, it has got that fabulous nice little micro rotor movement. As always, I check it out on the Timergrapher before because I want to see exactly what's going on, and it's not running that fresh. No sir, it's not. So as always, I am gonna fully strip down this watch. I'm gonna inspect the parts. You guys are gonna see all this. I'm gonna clean it. I'm gonna rebuild it, oil it, regulate it, and see if I can get it running a bit better than it was when I received it. Now, some of you have probably already noticed and are screaming at the television right now going, hey, HB man, this looks like one of those Universal Genève pole rotor movements. And you're exactly right. In my opinion, it does as well. And I could clearly see that they've definitely been influenced by those early Borman movements or those early Universal Genève movements. I think caliber 215, caliber 69 also. And yeah, you could see that there is a lot of influence. And my first impressions in regards to looking at this movement is it looks quite nice. It's highly decorative and it's got an exhibition case back. And for just over 200 bucks, it's not too bad. So I've taken the movement out of the case, put a little bit of plastic over where I'm going to take the hands off. I'm just using some hand levers to gently remove those from this dial. Dial looks quite nice. It's loomed, and the loom actually, I checked it, it wasn't too bad. So as you can see in the video, I have had a bit of an upgrade. I got new furniture, I've had a complete change of the HB studio, and I want it looking more fresh than it already did before. I'm really happy with how it turned out, apart from building things up. No, that was really, really not cool, especially doing that on a super hot day and I was building up cupboards and desks and but it's given me a lot more room and I'm really happy because the desks don't stick out as much. I went for some L-shaped ones which come out around 50 centimeters. So they basically just wrap around the sides of the room, which is absolutely perfect for me. It creates the floor area much wider and I've got a lot more room to move around, which I'm pretty happy about. So the dial's been removed from the watch and put away for safekeeping, and I'm just continuing removing the parts from the dial side. Off goes the cannon pinion, the hour wheel, the minute wheel, and also those two little intermediate wheels that you can see. Now I flipped it over, and of course I am gonna de-wind this watch, getting all of that tension out of there before I take off the balance. So guys, I do hope that you've all been good over the last few weeks. I unfortunately had a bit of an issue with my neighbor. It's not cool, it's not fresh. My neighbor had a leak, and of course that affected me, which in my opinion is completely unacceptable. I don't need that in my life. And the cleanup was not fresh. No sir, it was not. There was a lot of water that got into my place, and unfortunately it caused me an inconvenience. Okay, that was a slight exaggeration on my behalf. It wasn't as bad as that. But it was a little bit annoying that I had to come home and find that in my apartment. Not cool. So the pallets have been removed from the movement and I'm now just unscrewing the crown wheel. Reverse threaded screw, as you can clearly see. And there's no issue so far. Everything's running pretty nice. Removing the automatic works, as you can see, and it's got two reversing wheels underneath which lead on to a third wheel. And in my opinion, when you look at this, it looks pretty much like a standard ETA movement from the automatic point of view. It's got the same style, two reversing wheels, but they're obviously much lower into the movement, basically just sitting on the bottom of the main plate. Whereas obviously with a modern ETA movement, you would have the automatic works at the top of the movement. So the trainer wheel bridge has just been removed and it was quite a small one, as you could see. And most importantly, you could see that there was oil on there. So this movement has been oiled, which I'm very happy to see because a lot of these AliExpress watches, they come in dry. In other news, things have not been too cool. No sir, they've not. I have basically got an eye infection and it hurts a lot. Seriously, it's not normal. And I look like I have actually been in a fight. Now, what I could have done is I could have turned around and said that somebody tried to jack my Enikers and I fought them and you should see what the other guy looks like. But damn, my eye looks messed up. Damn! And the funny thing is, it actually looks worse today than it did yesterday. But I'm not going to show you a picture of that. No, sir, I'm not. And it's annoying because I'm actually running out of food. But there is no way on God's earth that I'm going to be leaving my apartment looking like this. Like, seriously, I look like Sloth from the Goonies. And there ain't no way that I'm going to be busting around a supermarket with having kids staring at me and pointing and stuff, or getting arrested, or God knows what. So most of the movement is being stripped down. And now on the back of this barrel bridge, you could see there was a ratchet wheel there. Now, the ratchet wheel was actually just stuck there with some oil. It actually does live on top of the arbor, on top of the barrel. Removing the rest of the wheels, and I'm just inspecting things as we go. And again, like I said, I really don't have much to complain about right about now. It's not the best quality out there. Is it terrible? No, it's absolutely not. So flipping the movement back over for one last time, and I can remove the setting lever spring, quite a chunky one as you can see, and it's got a friction spring on the top, which is built into it. Off goes the yoke, and then I can remove the setting lever as well. Underneath that, of course, you've got the winding and the sliding pinion, and it all just comes out as it should. Of course, before cleaning, we need to peg those jewels. Just use a sharp piece of pegwood. It's more than good enough, and you can just get in there and give them a good turn. It saves your cleaning fluids, and it's much better to actually do this prior to running it through a cleaning machine. Of course, the balance goes back on, so it keeps it nice and safe for while it's in the cleaning machine. And then I can tackle the barrel. Off goes the barrel lid, and inside you got the arbor and the automatic mainspring. And of course, it looks very clean and tidy as we would expect because it's a new watch. And that is all the parts, guys. Everything laid out, all ready for the cleaning machine, good to go.
Super fresh, super nice, HB goodness.
So it's a new day and everything is clean, ready for the rebuild of this Borman 5000A caliber. Guys, if you've got this far and you're enjoying this video, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit a like on it. And subscribe if you want as well. It's completely your preference. And because I'm definitely trying to grow this channel over the last few years, I'm of course happy that it's going in the right direction. I've had a lot of people now sending me watches in for service, which you might see in the back of the room over there because they're all laid out. And props if anybody can guess what things are over there. And you can check me out on horologybiology.com, and there's a quote, no obligation quote form that you can fill in with the information about your watch. So the mainspring was put in, and one thing I want to add in regards to this is none of my mainspring winders would actually fit this mainspring, so I had to do it by hand, which is a bit of an art form. But it's one of those things that if you just practice it, you will be fine with it. Now, a lot of people can be really, a bit snobby about that, like, oh, you should never put a mainspring in by hand. If you have no choice, then what exactly are you supposed to do? But it is one of those things that if you are careful and it's something that you're used to doing, practice with old springs, obviously, first. I've done this quite a lot of times now, and it's not affected the running of the watch. Obviously, you just need to really take your time. It's easier with automatic springs because they're a lot more soft. They're not as firm as hand wind springs. But like I said, if you do not have the capabilities or the tools to be able to do it in the first place, which I just didn't, none would fit, then you really don't have much of a choice. I'm also replacing the capstones. I've put some fixer drop on there, and I've also added some 9010 oil onto the top one and of course the bottom one as well. Once that's done, I always check my balance as well to make sure that it's moving nice and free, which it was. I was really happy with the swing. I like it to swing freely with a little blow that it goes for at least more than a minute before stopping on its own. And then of course I can take off that balance and just put it to one side, put a dust cover over it, keep it safe until the end of the rebuild. Of course, now I am rebuilding up the wheel set underneath the barrel bridge because, it's better just to do it now because when it goes on, once I put the trainer wheels on and everything and the barrel, then of course I'm going to need to put that on, and it's just the way that I do it. It's personal preference. It doesn't matter when you do it, but you got to do it. So just a little bridge there over where the automatic works are going. And of course, I'm adding some 9010 as well. So building up the train of wheels. and just carefully making sure that they go in the jewels without damaging them. Adding in the mainspring barrel, little 1300 to the top of the arbor for where this quite small ratchet wheel goes. In comparison to the size of the barrel, it is pretty small. In other news, I also wanted to tell you guys something which I thought was pretty cool. A few weeks ago, I received an email from YouTube inviting me, saying that I'd been selected to join one of their boot camp sessions. I think it's like a 12 or 13-week course. It's been running for the last 2 weeks, and it's been kind of interesting. You dial in, it's like a Teams meeting. There's other YouTubers in there as well. And it's all dealing with the membership program. Now, a lot of it I already knew anyway, because I do have some HB members, which of course I appreciate. Thanks to you guys, you know who you are. And it's just giving different tips about how you can offer other services and other such things for members, which I think is a really cool idea. And it's nice, of course, to be recognized and accepted into that. The other thing as well, which is quite cool about it, is once you've completed the course, you get access to, I forget the name of it. I think they call it like the influencer group, something like that, where you have access to other much higher channels than mine. And you can ask them questions, for example, like, how did you grow your channel? How did you get like it more successful than it already is, etc. So I think that's actually like a really cool thing, and it's something that I'm definitely going to be utilizing moving forward. So on goes the train of wheel bridge, and I've just made sure that everything is moving freely. And of course, I need to oil those jewels. So I'm using 90-10 as always on these jewels, and just a tiny little amount into the bottom of that little well on the jewel is much more than sufficient. If you actually put too much on, you're going to basically cause friction on your watch, and then you're going to have a much lower amplitude than what you want. Movement flipped over, and of course I can add the winding pinion and the sliding pinion. They have been both greased as well, because they're hard metal on metal contacts, because obviously when you're winding your watch and you're setting the time, they're going to rub against each other. Little 1300 for where the setting lever is going. And then I can just build up the keyless works. On goes the yoke. Also added in some grease for this as well onto the setting lever spring. This doesn't matter so much if you use a little bit more than you should, because you can quite easily just wipe off the excess once you've finished. I usually go a little bit heavier on it to start with, let it move around on the parts, and then I'll just wipe it off with some Rodico. Add in some 90-10 to the other side of the wheels. And then building up the rest. So there's two little intermediate wheels which sit next to the minute wheel. And of course the hour wheel, which will go on at the end. And what you can see there is that little date changer. That's for the quick set date. Again, very common style. You see it on a lot of, I think it's a 2481 or 2482. So just adding this little bridge as well over for the date changing mechanism. Date wheels, of course, being added on. And then again, another little bridge, which is going to hold down the minute wheel and those intermediate wheels. It also works to put a little cover over the date disc as well, so that keeps it in place and it doesn't move. Checking that it engages, and of course that the quick set works as well, which it does. And so far, so good. So what do you guys think about my new setup? I know I mentioned it earlier on in the video, but I'm curious what you guys think. Again, I'm really happy with how it's all come about. Really, really like the way it looks. So I'm curious what you guys think about it. Let me know in the comments, but or any other suggestions that you think I should do. I did actually get another tool as well, which you're going to see towards the end of this video. And I'm going to talk about that when it comes up, because I took a gamble on something which saved quite a lot of money. And I thought, okay, I'm really, really happy with how this works. So I'm going to share that with you later on. Add in the pallet forks and the pallet fork bridge. And then that's just held in with 2 screws. Of course, I need to oil this as well. I need to oil the exit stone. And I will just add a tiny little amount and then just work it round. Of course, I need to put some charge into the watch first, so I'll add some wine to it. And then, of course, I need to make sure that everything's engaging. And I'll repeat that process around 3 times. Last but not least, of course, we have to add on the complete balance. Offering it to the movement, and if you're careful with it, you can get it going pretty quick. Of course, now we need to put the dial back onto the movement, just gently lowering that onto the movement, and then on the underneath, you've got 2 dial feed screws which will turn around and they will bite into the dial feed. On goes the hands. First, we put in on the second hand, all friction fit. And I want to just make sure, of course, that this snaps over at 12 o'clock with the date, and then I can align the hands at 12 o'clock. First, the hour hand, and then afterwards, of course, we'll put on the minute hand too. Curious what you guys think about this dial. It's a nice ivory white looking dial, and yeah, I think it looks really nice. Like, again, the price of this watch, I'll leave a link in the description to the one that I purchased. I don't think it's a ludicrous price for the watch that you get. I've been looking at these Bergeon vacuum pens and blower pens, but they are insanely expensive. And then I actually saw on AliExpress that they do a generic version, which actually is pretty good. At the end of the day, all it does is blow air. And considering that the Bergeon one does not bring high quality Swiss air from the Alps, I'm happy with that Chinese air for this, as long as you have a decent air compressor. If the air compressor is good, the setup for the rest is perfectly fine. And when I compared the two, they really don't look that much different at all, apart from it that it just doesn't have a Bergeon name on it. And these were a fraction of the cost to what the Bergeon ones come at. I believe I paid around 160 euros for the pen set with all the cables and everything and the foot pad. And then the only thing I needed to buy was the compressor, which I bought on Amazon, and that set me back around 110 euros. And it works absolutely flawlessly. Let's check it out on the Timergrapher for the final results. So we came in at a -3 rate with no beat error whatsoever, and we got that super juicy, mad fresh 291 amplitude. Very happy indeed. So guys, there we have it, the Borman Automatic Micro Rotor, clearly based on the old pole rotor Borman movements with the caliber 5000A inside. In-house Chinese movement from what I've been told. And my final thoughts on this is it's pretty good for the money in question. Shy over 200 bucks, and I really don't think you can go wrong. And it was actually an enjoyable watch to work on. If you like this video, there's 2 more on the screen right now. I urge you to watch them if you've got nothing else to do. And as always, guys, until next time.